Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pitch Please, the podcast where people who play games pitch ideas to people who make them. It's a pretty busy week this week. We've got lots of stuff to talk about, so we're going to rattle through the intros, Tom.
Oh, okay.
How's it going?
No, I won't keep you. Carry on. God forbid.
No, but then you need to pass it on to the next person, right?
I don't know. I feel
like that's a rhythm we've gotten into now.
There was a rhythm, and then you said, let's rattle through.
I've just broken it for you. I'm sorry.
Chris, James,
making
quick.
it slower.
Hurry up. You got no time.
James, you go.
All right. Hi, I'm James, one of the developers on Drink More Glurp.
What the fuck is happening?
Chris, how's it going?
Chris, go.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Hurry up.
Brunch Club developer. There you go. Carry on.
Yeah, well, and then also we have another guest with us for the first time in... Actually, no, it's only been like 2 weeks,
It's been
hasn't
a
it?
week, Alex.
Yeah, it's been a week since we had Pyrion, and now we've got the other... Well, I say the other second third, but that doesn't make sense. We've got the second third
Another
of Triforce. Sips.
The spare wheel. Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how's it going?
You both described yourself as the spare wheel.
I think Lewis would probably describe himself as a spare wheel too. So it's three spare wheels.
Three rickety spare wheels form
That's
the
right.
Triforce.
Just a broken car on the roadside.
That's the one. Yeah.
Before we get into before we actually get into the game, there's just a couple of stuff that we want to get through, because today, if you're listening to this on the day it goes out, is the day that Tiny Teams Festival opens, which should be the 9th to the 15th of August. So it's a Sunday. You can find us on Steam. It's basically going to be, the idea is that we're just providing a platform for all these tiny little games that are made by like a couple of people that don't have any money to market their games, or they might be really great, but they just don't have visibility because there are just so many games, right? Like whenever you go on Steam, or it's like, not even on Steam, but like consoles everywhere, there's just like, I feel like it's a very first world problem to have, but it's kind of
I've seen
there are so many good games to play. I don't know what to choose.
Yeah, I've seen a couple in there, and they are really, really cool, really interesting, unique games I've never seen before, and it's cool. It's just check it out.
Yeah,
just check it out. God damn it!
But also we've got some pretty good games, like some big ones on sale for us, which are I think I can say it now. I assume I can say this.
I don't know,
because they may have pulled out between now and the time this goes out. I don't think they have. But RimWorld is on sale as well for us as part of the festival, which is like only the second time RimWorld's ever been on sale.
Damn.
The first time was only like 2 weeks ago, which is a bit of a shame. But
I feel like
still,
if you're going to pick
like,
up a game on sale looking for value, RimWorld is like a sure shot, right?
Yeah, hundreds.
You've played
and
a lot of
hundreds
that, right?
hours,
I've played hundreds of hours of that. Yeah, it's great.
There you go. And there's others like Stardew Valley that's like 20% off. Loads of really good games that are made by like a couple of people, basically. You may not have even realized they were made by a couple of people, like Papers, Please, Obra Dinn. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just erase my mind so I can play it again for the first time.
I'm exactly the same. Holy crap. Alex,
Yeah.
enough of this shit. Let's get on with the pitches.
No, not yet.
Wait, no. There's more. There's still more to get through.
Sorry,
yeah.
Tom. Sorry,
So,
Tom.
James has a little announcement that he wants to share with us.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris, Chris as well, actually. Let's do Chris's first.
This is kind of important.
I feel like we need to build up to the...
Alex
Chris,
missed
you've kind of had
something.
your spotlight.
Yeah, sorry, James. We're out on, as well as being in the Yogscast Tiny Team sale, of which every game under the Yogscast umbrella is on sale, Alex. You failed to mention that.
Unbelievable.
Up to 50% off for Brunch Club. We're out now on PlayStation and Xbox as well. And I feel like as Greg isn't here, you should mention that Landlords is also on sale.
Landlords will be, That's
I can try and channel my inner Greg if you want.
Yeah, Landlord Super. Go on, sure. Let's waste some more time.
You're right. I'm Greg from Landlord Super. It's 10% off of the Steam Tiny Team sale. I can't from the accent anymore.
Brilliant.
Oh, we've got an actual voice actor for the game as well.
You're right. I'm from Birmingham, apparently.
Wow.
Or as the characters in the game will say.
Amazing. Okay, yeah, and also a slightly bigger announcement. Like I don't want to undermine your announcement, but
take away from
James
Chris.
has finally released your first game, right? Your first proper game that you've.
That's right.
You and Josh
will
have
be
worked
out.
on.
6th of August is when we're launching, so we'll be in the Tiny Teams Festival, and we're also on Switch as well, and we'll have 10% off on both. So yeah, go play it.
Nice.
It's great fun.
Go buy games.
It's nice and colourful.
Buy some games. Try some games.
Okay.
Right, now,
play
Tom.
some games.
Now
Right.
you can interrupt.
Now I can interrupt. Well, I mean, if you've given me permission to interrupt, it's not an interruption. Damn it.
Oh shit.
Sips. We have got a game that we have heard a lot about already throughout your streams. You've mentioned it a lot. right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think people already know this game very, very well. So this is going to be a bit of a weird one.
Yeah.
But please pitch us your game.
Right. Okay. You have to close your eyes first. Okay. Everybody
Eyes closed.
close your eyes.
We're all closing our eyes.
Okay, yeah.
All right. You're a dude, okay? And you can be a man or a woman to be a dude, okay, in this game, because you're just going to be doing dude things, okay?
Yeah.
You are standing on a road in a small town, in the middle of a small town, okay? Your partner has left you.
No.
It doesn't matter who your partner is. They've left you. And you've decided, fuck this life. I'm going to move to the wilderness of Alaska and restart. Okay. So you're in this small town in the middle of the wildest part of Alaska, right? And you've got nothing. You've just got like your backpack with like maybe like a little bit of money in it and like a spare pair of sneakers and maybe like a fresh pair of underpants that you can change into or whatever, but you have nothing. So immediately it's a walking sim. You just start walking through the wilderness. There's like animals and stuff, and there's like, you know, nice like it'll look like Red Dead Redemption 2, okay? But
Oh wow, okay.
but with a much smaller budget, okay? Or maybe like SnowRunner or something, you know? Like it's got to look nice. You got to feel like it's a world that you want to be in a lot, right? Because you're going to be spending a lot of time in there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you walk out into the woods and you have to build a house, right? You got to find a place that you want to live, and then you have to start building some sort of shelter. So it's like it's a survival sim, right?
Yeah.
You have to get food. You have to build shelter. There's certain things that you can build to make things easier for you, but you can design it. The building mechanics in the game are going to be like detailed, right? So it's not like you don't put up. It's not like in Rust where you just build a whole wall in one go.
So plank by plank.
Okay.
Plank by plank, log by log sort of thing. You have to build a structure that evolves over time, right? Depending on what you're doing. And you might not want a big place. You might just want a little shack, you know? You might just want to live in like a little outhouse and have like some creepy like taxidermy business or something like that. If that's what you want to do, if that's your dude dream, then that's it. But there'll be a whole bunch of things for you to do. Like you can build your place. As you go out walking and exploring in the wilderness, you can find like old parts, like old bicycle parts.
Oh, so you can build a bike.
Yeah. So one of like the mini games in the game will be kind of like My Summer Car, right? You can eventually build a car out of parts that you find or order, because there's a little town, right? Like your lifeline is this little town that you can walk to, and you can buy supplies if you need them. You could trade stuff locally if you need to, sort of thing. So you can build like a bicycle to help you get around a little bit better if you want to. You can eventually build a car, which you don't even ever need to drive if you don't want to. It could just be something that stays like on your property or whatever. You could go out and do hunting. You could do fishing. You can like skin all of these animals and stuff and do stuff with their pelts if you want to sell them or make clothes or whatever. There'll be like there'll be like a crafting system in there. You can chop wood for firewood because you're gonna have to survive. But maybe you'll have excess firewood. You can like get a piece of string and bundle those all up and chuck them on your back and go sell the firewood in town, or maybe donate some to your neighbors if you ever find your neighbors or whatever. So there's like a bit of like Death Stranding in there as well, you know, with like the deliveries and stuff.
Yeah, you got lights.
So basically, like I've taken, I'd say like maybe 10 of my favorite games and combined them all into one. Yeah.
So
for the ultimate dude simulation, right? You're just gonna be out there with your bare fucking hands. Remaking life, you know, doing all that stuff. It's gonna be great.
So this reminded me of when you were talking, especially when you were talking about Alaska.
Yeah.
And just being starting off in the wilderness made me think of have you seen the documentary Grizzly Man?
No, I haven't seen the documentary Grizzly Man, but you're close. I watched this show recently about a guy who did just this. He went to
Timothy
Alaska.
Treadwell.
He was like middle-aged, and he just decided he was going to trek out like miles and miles into like the wilds of Alaska and just create his own home, sort of thing. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that he was very much like he just completely left society, and he was just trying. Well, with him it was like about protecting the bears,
Right.
And he ended up getting eaten by a bear.
This film.
I've heard this story. Yeah, I've heard this story. Yeah.
It's tragic. But well, he didn't build shelters or anything though. So is this more? Are you thinking like not extreme wilderness, like there are going to be bears and stuff? Is it more just like slightly
it'll be out there?
town,
like
or?
I think the map will be big enough for there to be parts where, you know, if you want to like have a bit more of a challenge, there'd be like bears and other things out there, sort of thing. But yeah, like I want it to be like, basically I want it to be like Red Dead 2, but with a lot more
So
a lot more mundane tasks to do,
we've got Red Dead 2, we've got a little bit of the forest, a little bit of the long dark, I feel like. There's
Green Hell is in there as well. Rust,
My Summer Car, Rust.
Yeah, My Summer Car. Yeah, Fallout. It's probably elements of Fallout in there as well.
Oh, is there? Hunting. Is it Hunting?
Hunter Call of the Wild.
Hunter Call of the Wild. Yeah. Fishing Planet.
Fishing Planet.
Yeah.
Death Stranding.
Sega Bass fishing.
Yeah.
There's just one bit where you can piss on Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. I think, and as far as story goes, it's going to be one of those games where you kind of make your own story. But I think there will be elements where, like, when you go to town, there's people that you can befriend. Like there'll be like characters in the game. If you want to interact with them, you can. Right?
Okay.
There could be like a love interest. There could be like a doctor.
There was this farming game that you were playing. I saw clips of it, and what was it? Where you were talking to the girls?
Farming Dynasty.
Farmer's Dynasty.
Farmer's Dynasty. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
all
a
of
good
the
one
characters
too. And Lumberjack's Dynasty too. It's by the same.
Yeah. They had awful dialogue and voice acting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be up for having that in my game as well, for sure. But yeah, I know I go on about this game a lot, but it is like my dream game. I would just play it to death if it existed.
I mean,
even though the scope changes all the time and the budget requirements are quite high.
Like, it feels like it's achievable until you said, I mean, it was the first thing you said, until you said Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. No, just, you know, sort of as like a basis, you know, like that's ideally how I would like the game to look, which I understand.
Baseline Red Dead Redemption 2, the AAA game by Rockstar.
There are a couple of open world games like that though that have like I had it with Skyrim and Red Dead 2. I think one of the few games where there have been points where I've just stopped the gameplay and just like looked at the vista, or just looked at the surrounding and been like, man, fuck, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
And to have that, like, if that was actually like a big, because like the idea of like what you were saying about how maybe if you want to go and build your home in like a more dangerous area, of Alaska, perhaps like the payoff for that is you know that's where the more beautiful areas are.
Yeah,
that's the place where you would really want your house to be.
Sure,
but there are also probably bears going to be.
That's like Minecraft, right? You just pick a nice place to put your home.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
you want to build your house like on stilts in the middle of a creek? Do it. If you want to build your house in a cave, do it. Like, who cares, right? Like, you just build it wherever. I think that's like, people can play the game however they want to, right? You want to leave it as open as possible so that, you know, it's replayable too. You know, you might want to come back and start from scratch somewhere else or whatever.
So in your mind, are there the usual staples of like water, like hunger, like thirst? Do you need to sleep? How does that? Is it like
all
a
that
day
stuff
pass in like? But then how do you? So is there a death state? Or is it just you're just really hungry and like pass out?
I think you can die. Yeah,
right.
And it's like and maybe I don't know. You could either make it so it's like roguelike. So maybe if you're gonna die, there's like ways that you can like I don't know, sort of like ensure your death, like and the stuff that you've built. So like, you know, maybe, you know, your partner left you, but you have like, you know, a couple of kids that could then come in and take over instead. So you have like maybe like 3 lives or something. That
the next
like,
generation of
3 kids.
Yeah, that's right. And they all go down the same road as you as well. They get so fed up that they need to go to Alaska. Yeah.
Oh man.
The other thing
that's,
was
that's a possibility.
But if like the building,
It's a
the world's
possibility.
persistent, so you could have like houses that like it's not multiplayer online or anything, but like when you
Well-
if you were to starve as someone, you start as a different character who is coming out, but then the previous house that you've built exists in the landscape. You don't have to go and use it, but it's just still there.
But maybe
So you could,
maybe
like-
there could be like a system whereby it's a little bit like run down because you wouldn't
Right,
just
yeah.
immediately take the former
No.
occupier's
Yeah,
shoes,
yeah.
right? Maybe
I mean, it's been
there's
10
years that
years.
have passed, so like the food stores are like gone, and like maybe there's like some graffiti on the wall, or people have used it as a
raccoons
squat.
living in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe
Do we
there's,
then
like,
end
a
up in
gigantic
Cyberpunk Alaska if you die enough
Yeah.
times?
you die enough times,
30
it goes
years
so
past
far in
every
the
time.
future. Yeah,
It's just
you can make a
GTA.
hover bike.
There's like a city out there.
The cyber bears are coming.
So,
Yeah.
so is this? That's a good point, Alex. Where you were saying it's not a multiplayer game. Did you imagine this as a totally single player, like The Forest? Well, The Forest is multiplayer actually, not
Yeah.
that one. Because I guess if you're doing it
Cannibals,
on
we
your
have
own,
people in Alaska.
yeah,
what
if
you're
you're doing it
trying
on
to
your own, that's dude sim. Now, if you have loads of other people and you're drinking beers around a campfire, is that too much like a bro sim?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
the sort of like survival isolation thing is
Yeah.
it's a single player for sure. Like there's probably ways you could add multiplayer things in, kind of like Death Stranding. Maybe people can leave notes around or something like that.
Okay.
Just subtle little things, just so that you don't feel totally alone. But I feel like, at least at first, like the point of the game is that you're alone, right? You've sought out to be alone, sort of thing. So
Okay.
So I can expand on that. Do you know guys know what geocaching is?
Isn't that like
Yeah, I've heard
Pokemon
the
Go?
term, but I don't know what
So
it is.
geocaching is where like you use like I think it's like GPS and coordinates to find little hidden like treasures that people leave, and they geotag
Oh
them. and
yeah,
you-
yeah.
So like, you could do that where like you could bury some resources, and then it pops up in someone else's game, and you get like a ping on your GPS, and you have to locate it by exploring the world and following like, the pings on your just
Right.
as a way
Right.
to have that Death Stranding style of this guy left me a ladder. Well, this guy has left me like a big pile of wood that I can now use, which in
Yeah.
the early game where you don't have much might really help you out.
yeah,
But-
I wouldn't want something like that to be too annoying though either.
No,
like,
it would be completely
constantly
optional.
pinging,
It wouldn't be like beeping.
ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding. Like there's like a million ladders to go get and stuff.
Also, you don't want it to be too beneficial because I played
No.
through all of Death Stranding offline, so I didn't have
Yeah,
all
you
these
didn't even
structures
pay
everywhere.
for the PlayStation.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't believe you did that.
But so you didn't have any of those like clutch ladders left by other people and stuff.
Everything that
Oh, wow.
I built was either in there from the game or I had to build it myself. So there wasn't like recharge stations all over the
Right,
place.
right.
There wasn't ladders. There wasn't
And,
messages all over the place.
Keep on keeping on fucking message that comes up every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I gotta replay that game like that now. Like that'd be a lot more fun, I think.
Yeah,
It was cool
it's-
seeing other structures, but I like the challenge.
It's pretty lonely. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
But I found it almost like too much the opposite way. Like for me, but by the end of the game, I was just not really. I find I wasn't really constructing much because people had just done it for me.
Yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
really
man.
need to do anything.
But yeah, I feel like the geocaching thing, you don't want it to be like, if people are playing
No.
Dude Sim Alaska online, it's a bit overpowered if someone's buried 4,000 fiber and it's like,
No,
well,
there would have to
shit.
be a limit of what you can bury and what you can.
Yeah.
Somebody pings you, they just like built a whole car and buried it. You can excavate it. You don't even need to build it yourself.
The VW
Yeah.
camper.
Move a single tree leaf. Like, oh, there it is. Cool.
Yeah, gotcha.
What time period do you imagine this being set though? Because
Kind of like modern times. Like
modern times.
It doesn't need to be like like today, like 2020, I guess. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's so
Do
far
they
in the
does the
wilderness,
guy
it
have,
doesn't really matter,
um,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Does your
you go
character
in-
have power
with
tools,
tools.
or is it
Yeah.
all like hand axes and?
Yeah, I think to start with hand axes and stuff, but then later on, when you're like selling things, like you might catch fish, you might get pelts, you might sell firewood or whatever. You could save up money and then buy things that will make life easier for you, power tools and whatnot. And depending on how remote you are as well, those things could come out to you via like a plane or like a helicopter or something. So you might actually have to clear like a place near where you live for these deliveries to be made eventually.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But it's like one of those things where it like you progress, and life becomes easier for you, but it's all off the back of you putting in work, right, to make it easier, sort of thing. So it's like it's not so repetitive. You've always got something to build towards if you want to, you know.
The technology thing is what came to mind, because I was like, I could imagine our protagonist having a phone with very little signal that every now and then pings in with like 10 messages from the X. Yeah, and you'd never respond. There's no option to respond. You just read.
Eventually you'll have some sort of like generator that can, you know, generate electricity for your house. So you could probably get like a laptop eventually where you could like receive emails just to like add some flavor to the game. You know what I mean? Like just shit like that. And then,
so it does this. Sorry, Ron.
Oh, it's just I've just completely, you know, breaking the constant scope of the game by adding more stuff into it.
Well, I was just thinking, like, does it, because the thing that I find with a lot of these games is that, and I guess it's similar to like just going back even to Minecraft, like essentially if you put all the work in at the beginning, like you say, but then you get to a point where you can kind of basically automate stuff, and it makes it easier. Yeah. Does it, like, is there a way to still keep the game interesting, so that, because sometimes when you do that, like, it's exciting, it's cool to put the work in, but then when you've done it, it feels a bit like, okay, I don't have anything left to do now. I feel a bit empty.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Death Stranding's a really good example of a game where it's satisfying enough in its like simple mechanics that even after you finish the game, you want to go back and just like do a couple of deliveries, right? It feels like a nice game to be in, and there doesn't necessarily have to be a ton of stuff to do, because the things that there are to do are just kind of satisfying and fun to do, right? So I feel like
all things that make the game easier to play as well, right? Like, eventually you could build a road to the nearby village or town or whatever, and then you can just run down that a lot quicker. Eventually you build, I don't know, a bigger oven thing so you can cook more stuff at the same time. Yeah. Like things like that, just to make the game easier as you go. That's kind of like the progression of Death Stranding is.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking
slowly, and then you build mech legs, and now you can run a little bit quicker. And
exactly.
It's satisfying.
It is super satisfying. I also had this idea for like when you're out in the wilderness, like you'll eventually have like paths that'll form to spots that you want to go to, right? But some of these, like the paths are like, you know, you might make a path to go somewhere once and never use it again. And then if enough time passes, that path will just not be there, right? You won't have you know, it'll be overgrown or whatever. But there'll be a system where you can put down like pegs with ropes to like outline a path that'll make it permanent, sort of thing. So like it'll be permanent anyway, because if you're using it all the time, but you might want to have like a permanent path to somewhere that you're going to use sparingly, but you don't want it to like overgrow or whatever. So you could spend time
like in certain seasons
plotting out like this path so that it doesn't get overgrown, and then it just makes it easier for you to hike up to this place where, you know, you might have like a long-term project, or it might just be a point of interest that you want to go back to or whatever.
I like
and
that.
just like little things like that just are kind of interesting, but not like, you know what I mean? I don't think that putting something like that into the game would cost a lot, you know? Like
it should be
just be
the wilds of Alaska should be hard to navigate, and like slowly not burning down paths, but, you know, slowly getting these paths and things make it easier for you to navigate to the nearest like hunting spot or whatever.
Exactly, and then, you know, you might have like a hunting shack way out, like, you know, far away where like the hunting is good, but then you could have this path that's like sort of dedicated, so you know how to get there, so you're not constantly like having to replan the same route and stuff all the time, you know what I mean? Like it just progressively just gets a little bit easier, like the more familiar you are with the surroundings and stuff. Just little things like that I think will be satisfying enough where people will be like, even if I run out of things to do, there's always something that I can do that feels good, you know?
Yeah, it's also just like extra levels of customization, right? Where someone's base always looks different to another guy's because they always took this route around a tree or whatever.
Exactly,
Chris, what you got?
So I have a couple of things. One thing was like in terms of end game stuff, you could do like obviously like hunting missions. Like there's a town board in my head. By the way, the town looks like the town from Fargo, and everyone speaks like that. Even
right?
Probably.
Probably.
They're like, oh, I need a deer, eh? And you're like, yes, I can get you that deer. And then like you go out and hunt the deer.
Yeah.
And like you can go and do missions like that, earn some money. But then you could be like, I'm going over here a lot. So I've built my house. I've done the main, of the game. But I want to build another thing over here. So maybe you have to buy that plot of land.
Yeah.
With money that you've made.
Or somehow get permission to be able to build there. But then I really want it so that when you say you do achieve that, say you hunt enough deer where somebody's like, hey, this, I have the rights to this land, but I'm happy for you to build something there that'll make your life easier. Whatever you end up building there isn't just the same thing that everybody else builds, Again, you have like that micro detail of what you want to build and what it's going to be used for or whatever. You might just want to build a big pit that you can store a bunch of dead deer in, and you should be able to do that. I feel like and maybe not everybody will do that. Somebody will make a big tower, maybe somebody else will make like a slaughterhouse, or maybe whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I think you should just be able to build what you want, but at first be limited to where you can build these things, right? The progression allows you to make life easier for yourself eventually. Right.
The limitation part is what I was going to discuss next, was that I think the best way you can do that is you start people out in spring, right? Yeah. Or you start people out in a season and over, because I've seen like nature documentaries where you have really harsh winters and then really gorgeous summers, and it looks like a completely different environment and a completely different place. But like in the winter, say, oh, that blocks off that region of the map, I can't go there unless I have all this equipment that I need to eventually get. That's fine. Yeah. So that sort of does that, and it sort of keeps you penned in for certain bits, but also means the way you have to traverse it like changes. So it might be slower to move in the winter, but there's also different animals like bears hibernate. So in the summer, is it safer to go out later in the evenings? And
so I guess that's a little bit don't starve-y, right? Is like preparing for a harsh, horrible winter.
I think no matter what, you'd have to, but I would like for there to be an option to skip. So like almost like doing like hibernating over winter. You might want to do a couple of winters, and maybe that's your thing. Maybe you'll do every winter. You'll prepare for it, and there's enough for you to do in the winter that you enjoy it or whatever. But certainly, like realistically, you wouldn't be doing much building during the winter because the ground would be a lot harder. It'd just be a lot trickier and stuff. So it'd be good if you spent a lot of time getting provisions together, and then the game sort of had some indicator to say, okay, you're ready for the winter. This is enough currency for you to just skip the winter, do like a hibernate, wake up in the spring, and then you just
I feel like
carry on.
The game could also just have No Man's Sky. This is a weird link, but No Man's Sky has like 5 different difficulty settings, one of which is like creative, and then normal difficulty, super hard survival, and then hardcore. Yeah. So maybe this game has like just a really super chill mode where it's spring all the time, and you just play and you just build your shit and you just enjoy it. But then other people might play it and like, I want to experience the winters.
You just don't have hunger. That would be the super chill mode, because the seasons I think really make the environment feel more alive.
Yeah,
you see different animals. You see, and in the winter it's easier to track because there's footprints in the snow.
Yeah, but
maybe that's the thing where.
The winters are harder. You have to live through the winter.
Oh, yeah.
You have to
seasons and weather will definitely need to be like in no matter what. But I know what you mean about the hunger or something making it easier. Like you'd have to like tone it down for some people, because some people would just maybe not want to like have that like hardcore survival sim, but maybe want to do all the other stuff.
The choice being there, if the winter was really hard, but say you gained something really good if you did it, so you need to have that risk reward of, if I want this thing, I need to work through the winter, but I know it's going to be harder on me. Like you give people the choice to get this really cool thing. I don't know. It could be like the only time you can hunt a certain animal is in the winter.
Yeah.
But you have to then not skip it. Maybe it's for missions. It's like, I need these pelts from this animal that's only here in the winter.
I think winter itself would be like the hard mode, right? It's like risk reward. If you're ready to do a winter and not just skip it, then there's definitely things that can kill you in the winter more easily than any other time of the of the year or whatever. But like you said, there's different stuff to do. There's different animals to get. You might come out of the back of it like far richer than
I guess like the towns will pay more for stuff during the winter, right? Because they need it more.
But then it'll be harder to get supplies out to you later in the game, like if there is like a helicopter or a plane or whatever in the winter. It's cold, so you have to manage that.
Blizzards.
Blizzards, snowstorms, all that kind of stuff.
I just want to
talk about the game start. Do you start with a foundation or any sort of pre-existing building, or are you you've got maybe a tent and you have to pitch a tent while you build it?
It'll be like you pitch a tent, or you just make like some like really crude shelter, like kind of like Green Hell, you know how you have to have like
a lean-to.
Yeah, like a lean-to to sleep in or whatever. Okay. It'll be something like that. Yeah.
Trying to get my head around like how long would it take a player to build something quite rudimentary? Are we talking several weeks or?
I think you'd have to like. I'm not sure how it would work in terms of, because at first you want the player to be able to build anywhere, but there's obviously got to be some limitation. You can't build like in town. Maybe you know, maybe that could be
outside the shop.
That could be that could be some
adjacent.
DLC where you could like actually buy a plot and then do like a house flipper in town.
Well, maybe that's the reason. That's an
encouragement.
That can encourage you building relationships with the NPCs. Right?
Yeah.
So if you build,
you can move in with someone.
The town mayor's like, oh, hey, we can give you a plot of land. I'm not going to do the accent. We'll give you a plot of land, and
something like that,
or
there's just some separation when you actually get out of the like influence of town, and then there's like some sort of like grid system whereby when you choose where you want your place to be, you're just given like that area, like a certain area that you could build in until you sort of like start unlocking more of like the map through town or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you still have to buy. In real life, you still have to buy the like plots of land. You can't just set up a house in the middle of a forest. Like,
no,
the people that normally do it.
Certainly nowadays.
Well, could that?
Like, I think,
so maybe you start with like some money, and you're like, you need to choose your plot.
Yeah,
like, you see a big overview, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put it here. Like, so you see some, and then eventually you can. So new plots appear, and you can be like, okay, I want to build a shack over here, so I've got to buy that plot, because you can't just go, you know what, I'm going to live here now and just build a house.
I know,
because I have the romanticized idea.
I have watched so many hours of random YouTube videos of people just building houses in like I just did, and I was like, big YouTube hole, 2 a.m. I'm sitting there watching a man for the last 6 hours build a house.
Yeah,
in a time lapse.
In places like Alaska, they have national parks, right?
Yeah.
Where like you can't. Like there are certain boundaries and things, and like in those areas you're only allowed like you're not allowed a permanent structure, you're allowed like tents and things.
Yeah,
so maybe that could be the places where you go hunting, or maybe there are certain areas that like can you just build any? I feel like if there's some kind of if you have to buy a plot at the beginning of the game, that feels like it's making it a little bit too
unless it was something like that, or there was an agreement whereby you get given a plot but you have to do something in return, so there's some consequence involved, sort of thing. But then you know, so you can do whatever you like, but you have to donate like a certain percentage of, I don't know, whatever money you make back, or you have to pay some tax or just something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't help but think that you just become a ranger, and that you've been hired, you become a ranger. We've got nowhere for you to live, but there's this shitty shack here that you can like renovate or do up, or you can go and build your own thing. That's fine. But I like the idea that you are this ranger, and then
like
you
Firewatch.
Yeah,
you
a bit like Firewatch is a good one. Yeah, I think that could still work with the sort of premise that like you're sick of it all, like you've accepted this job because your partner has left you and taken the children, and you're just like you're kind of like just looking for something new, so you decide that like that's going to be the thing. For you.
But if you
turn
stay
up and they're like,
long
so
enough,
what's your experience? Like, no, never hunted, never chopped any wood in my life. Yeah, you can have the job. That's all yours. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
no one else.
I do like the fact that you have this. We were talking about the emails and messages earlier. I love the fact that if you survive long enough, like in-game years, like you'll have an email come through. It's like, Dad, and then it's just like,
where are you?
But that picture of their kids getting married.
Yeah.
You're like,
or depending, it could just be completely random. Maybe one of your kids wants to come out and visit you or something. Like, it could be really funny. There could be just some funny random moment.
Because if you die,
that's
right.
Okay, and getting into more detail as well, I would love for there to be a system where your character gets dirty and needs to bathe bathe, okay? And their hair grows and their beards grow. And if you don't have a beard that grows, your hair just grows. But there's options for like, if you have really long hair, you can maybe like put in a bun or like a ponytail or whatever. And I feel like that sort of like evolved custom look would be really, really fun. You know what I mean? Like you've been out here living for years and you just look scruffy as fuck, but there's some style to it, sort of thing, you know, like
the longer
you found like an old raincoat that now is like a vest and that you've made, you know what I mean? Just like,
and if you haven't been to town kind of like ages,
you look like a clown wearing, you know, Burning Crusade armor. It's like a mismatch of like all this shit, but you're just doing it, you know, like and pulling it off.
But also there should be like a clothes shop in town.
Like, for sure.
Scrounge, like,
so you can go buy some like plaid shirts and stuff. Like,
So I think an important question. Dude Sim Alaska, do you only play as a dude or can you play?
No, that was at the start.
It's at the start, right?
It's a gender neutral term.
I see. Okay, cool.
You can be
it's a way of life.
Yeah, the dude is the way of life, right? It's like living off the land. It doesn't matter what gender or whatever you are. You're just, if that's what you've decided to do in the game, which you have, then you're a dude, right? And you're out there doing dude stuff. You're living hard. You're living rough, but with no drugs. Like I'm talking about like natural.
Just crime.
What do you
think
about like the in terms of hunting and stuff? Like, could you go? Is the world big enough so that you could, say, if you have like your summer house or whatever, or you know, just your home, and then you want to go out on a hunting expedition. Say if you want to go and hunt, I don't know, bear meat or like bear skins or whatever. Like, do you then have to travel? Like, you're going to go on a couple of days expedition with a tent. You go into the interior of the islands, and then you have to figure out how to bring the skins back, or you have to bring the bear somehow.
Absolutely.
You know, get the bear.
I mean, but again, the way the game will progress, there's towns, so there's always going to be like at first you won't even have like a rifle or anything, right? You'll just have to like do it manually, but then eventually you might save up enough money to buy a rifle, which would make life much easier, right? You might be able to save up, because there's got to be some vehicles in it, but they won't be things that you get early on, right? They're aspirations for you to achieve, right? It's not.
I thought you could build a canoe.
Because you could realistically, you need some sort of like you know, like a 4x4 or something out there, right? To like help you.
Yeah.
I want the snowmobile at least.
Yeah, something like that though. Like something that you can maybe like attach a little trailer to and haul more stuff.
I mean, you find like a horrible old crappy little car that's got no engine, no tire on the back. You know, all these different things. And you see like the list of tasks, how to recover this vehicle.
And then once you've recovered it, you fuel it up, and then you've got it. And it's like, holy shit, this has unlocked a whole new part of the game for me where I can get around better. I can hunt multiple animals and skin them out at this other site.
Stick them in the truck.
As long as I can survive while I'm out there, I have a place to sleep and stuff. And then I can do this big haul back, and it'll be really beneficial. You know, it'll be a lot of money.
But it's like,
food
it's a super hard long-term project. It's like this thing that takes ages and ages because it's such a game changer.
Will there be?
I want this game now! I want to play it right now.
Will you be able to have a dog or something?
Oh, you got to.
Yeah,
you got to.
Yeah.
Well, one man and his dog surviving.
Or maybe you might want to have a cat or something instead. But like maybe a cat that just like lives inside. You know what I mean? Like I think a couple of different pets would be good.
I love the idea that like you have like local like animals that would live near you. Like perhaps like the longer you've been in that one area, then certain animals will become not necessarily domesticated, but more comfortable with you, and they'll come up to your house a bit closer, like foxes and things. And deer might be more comfortable. So like with each kind of month that passes, you'll wake up in the morning and see them just outside your house.
If you give a crow some food, every now and then he might come back with like some jewelry that it's found. It's like a little thief.
Just a rifle in his mouth, just like. Burp.
I want there to just be like little. I don't want it to be like a big story or anything, but I find it. I'm interested in. I don't know if you guys played games like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter or games like that, where there's nothing I mean, there are creepy elements to it, but there's nothing like overly creepy about it except for what you build up in your mind because you're alone, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like, I want to occasionally you stumble across like where some kids have had a bonfire or something like that, and you think there's more to it than that, but there never is. You know what I mean? It's just people using these spaces for their life. But because you're alone, you're going a little bit nuts. You're like, oh fuck, maybe there's a cult out here, or maybe it's
a very Fallout-y thing, right? Like New Vegas did it super well, where it wasn't even like a quest where you go to this house and you read some journals inside the house and you look around and it's just the story is being told by the environment you're in.
Yeah.
And maybe you find a camp and you notice there's like some drag marks by a tree and you're like, oh shit, what happened here? There's no definitive answer, but it's just a nice environmental storytelling thing where you're like,
and then you just sort of reminded that like, hang on, I am by myself and anything can happen out here. But like, it might put you on edge a bit, but there's nothing more to it. There's no big conspiracy to uncover. There's no big like, oh my God moment or anything. It's just
unless you say there is one and you just believe there is one.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a ranger or if you apply to be a ranger, maybe there's like these very short little, oh, hey, just go up here, just see what's going on up there. And it's not like a massive story or a massive quest line that has an ending. It's just one-off little missions to just discover this thing, find out what happened, and finish a mission. Just pick up the resources there.
It's only ever the youths in town that are just trying to rile you up or something.
I think like going forward, like there's a lot of things where I'm like, okay, just to get like the base game done, we need like this, and this. But then there's all these extras that I want to add after.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really funny if you could do like odd jobs in town eventually, right? Like you're starting out, but you don't really know what to do, or maybe you just like, I've played this game a couple of times and I just want to be able to get like the gun quickly rather than waiting for it, sort of thing, and then that'll change my playthrough this time. So like you could like wash dishes somewhere, or like you could like you can like man a shop counter, just like these really dumb things, but like you still have to live out in the wilderness, so you still have to like come to and
you
from
have to
work.
walk back like 20 miles.
I mean, but it's just a way to make money that might be just like a little bit more conventionally easier for you to do, sort of thing.
I mean, like within the confines of this admittedly massive game engine that you're creating with like
it's just like it's just going to be a big game with lots of little mini games in it, right? Like
I guess like everything's possible with the fidelity of the construction. You're able to do these jobs, right? Now that's an important question. I think it's quite late on that I'm asking this question, I know, but in the construction, right? So Rust is done in like this tile base. You build a square wall, and then next to that you build a square wall. The forest is everything snaps into a grid. The forest is you place this construction down and you have to get log, but it's still like this prefab thing that you know it's going to look like at the end. Whereas Landlord Super, which is, I guess, the only game I can think of that's like this, where you put the board on the wall, hammer it in, put the beam there, put brick by brick, you do it like that. Are you imagining it like that, or more like the forest?
I think eventually when you build
I would say combine the two.
When you build a house, I think it'll be a bit more like Landlord Super, where there'll be like all the detailing, but you start with a frame and a structure, right? Because otherwise your house just won't really make it, it won't
I was gonna say, like, placing every single beam for the frame and having to worry about
there'll definitely be like some sort of like blueprint that you would follow, right? But you just have to place everything onto it and design it as well, right? Like, because you might want to add extensions later or whatever, and that's fine, but it would be a bit like Landlord Super. But I think at first, it would be a little bit more like Fallout 4's building, like especially if you use no clipping or whatever, and you could just sort of place junk anywhere, and it just works. TM,
just works.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. It'd be something like that, I think. I mean, Green Hell kind of does it well too, right? There's like these sort of, like you can build like a little lean-to or whatever, and it's like a set sort of construct, but it's a small thing, right? And then you just add resources to it and it builds it. But maybe
that's the forest.
Maybe you could just have like a couple of variations of that one thing, because it's something that you'll use for a little while.
Going back to like the weather system, or like, well, the seasons at least, we're talking about weather. Do you imagine, like, is weather going to have an effect on your constructions or anything? Like, could there be a storm and that would damage it, or will it weather over time? Like, do you
I
have
think
to
so. Yeah, especially I think like kind of like in Rust, like like the really basic stuff. I think until you get to a point where like there's definitely going to be a line where like it doesn't weather so much anymore. Like it's constructed well, so it's fine, and you don't really need to go back to it. But maybe at first, when it's like not completed or whatever, there's some weathering, but like slow. Like it wouldn't be, you wouldn't wake up one morning and half your house is missing, sort of thing. It would be very very gradual, and you'd have like a fair warning that it was happening.
You can get some stuff that delays the inevitable. Like you can get some wood treatment that you have to apply every every like 2 weeks or something.
Man,
so you need to exactly.
The thing that's excited me about this so far the most has been just going back to when you were talking about the
washing dishes,
clearing a space, washing dishes, clearing space for the plane to come in, or the helicopter, to deliver goods. To get to that point, I think that would be such a like momentous day. Yeah. When you see the first plane delivering the stuff that you've ordered or whatever, like your cargo or whatever, come in.
But likewise, loading up the plane with stuff that you want to sell, because you're at that point in the game where you don't need to make that trip to town. Somebody has ordered some stuff from you and they're expecting it, and then you just load it onto the plane or whatever. And that's got to be really satisfying to get to that point, right? Where you've just like built this system that works. Like, I don't know. I like that.
I've just pasted, I know this is going to be bad for podcast, but I've just pasted the channel that I watched, and that's literally what I imagine the main character looked like in my head if you choose the dude.
2 years alone in the wilderness.
You know how to do a podcast.
He literally builds like his cabin from scratch. He grows a beard. He just becomes more rugged. He gets covered in dirt. He builds his own canoe. He lives with a dog. Like, he doesn't have I don't think he has a family, but it literally is just him. Like, so here's me building a house over 2 years.
This is the channel called My Self-Reliance, because Chris clearly still hasn't gotten used to how to do a podcast yet.
Oh yeah,
he's literally just shown us a picture and then spoken about it with no description. So My Self-Reliance, he's just this very typical like Canadian looking guy.
Dude, he's got the plaid shirt on and the fisherman cap and everything. He
looks like he's having a great time.
But it goes through like every season. He builds in the winter as well, but he's like, it's a lot harder. And he's like, it starts with here. He's like, he's got the structure built, but he's just sitting on like a little camping chair in an empty house, just like, I need to build things. And it's just like that. I really like that kind of thing where it's just his only company is his dog, and he has to provide for the dog as well. But then the dog, when he shoots something, the dog goes and fetches it, which is another reason to have a dog rather than like other animals. They need to have their benefits. Maybe like you have a mouse problem in the house, but if you have a cat, you don't get that. Like you get again like having
that'd be cool.
Weird pet mechanics.
But you have to take care of them too. You have to feed them and look after them, and so occasionally they could get sick, so you might need to take them into town to the vet and stuff. Like it just adds more stuff for you to have to keep track of. So you might not want. There's definitely benefits, but there might be downsides too, right? Your dog might be randomly very sick, right? And you have to deal with that.
I guess you could also
after years.
You could also get really sick just not randomly, but like if you go swimming and you've got loads of cuts all over your body, you've just got like this infection you have to deal with.
Just drink dirty water or something. It's gonna be really. I really like
the bad mushroom.
The analytics in this game. I'm going to be really interested to see what people choose to build first. So you're sat in your empty house, you're sheltered, and you're like, well, what do I build first? How many people build a chair? How many people build a table? Who wants to build the generator immediately so they can get their phone so that they can go and then just order a table?
Do more stuff.
What are the paths that people are going to take? But this idea of isolation, how quickly will people flock to the town?
This brings us to the interior of the house, which is going to have its own mechanics as well. Because obviously, if you're anything like me, when you go hunting, you want trophies, right? You want to be reminded of the thrill of the hunt. So you're going to be able to do some taxidermy, which is not going to be great at first because you have to like skill up in it, right? It's not something that you're going to
so you can have
your first taxidermy on the
deformed deer.
But if that's what you want, you might want to have some creepy weird house with terrible taxidermy in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not? But
Just
you will get better at it just by doing it, and then it's something that you can either. Again, you might be able to make money off it because you might be able to do it for other people. Later on in the game, people might say like, I fucking shot a moose. I'm going to send you the carcass out now in a cargo or whatever. You receive it. You got to do the taxidermy on it or whatever. Or you just sell your own or something like that. Or just keep them and put them in your house wherever you want.
Yeah, just a collection.
Yeah.
Just a menagerie.
Have some creepy dead animal room if you want. Yeah.
As you walk down the hallway,
and then obviously
just this mangled thing.
Like you'll have to do some farming as well. You'll have to grow some vegetables.
Like foraging.
Oh yeah, like fruit and veg and stuff.
Yeah. So there'll be places where you'll need to store food, keep it dry and safe and stuff like that. And then eventually
you can make so many jams.
Have a pantry.
Oh my God, it's gonna be amazing.
You'll be able to make jams. You'll be able to make
and then you can go to like the village
and
fair,
stews and whatever. Like it'll be nice, man.
Will there be the who's got the best jam competition in town, or like who grew the biggest marrow, or the biggest pumpkin?
I mean, yeah,
and you get first prize, and
I would love that.
That'd be amazing
because it just gives you something to, another thing to work towards if you want to, and you don't have to.
No, you don't have to at all.
Maybe that's something that like at first, when you come to town, you find out about it, but later on in the game, you can start receiving emails about it or like. Messages on your phone or whatever. Again, I just like the idea of starting with nothing and then making life gradually easier for yourself. And then getting to a point in the game where you turn around and you're like, fuck, I've made this whole system and it's much easier, but it's great and really satisfying. And you just want to spend a lot of time just like adding to it, tinkering with it, and just, doing stuff around it.
Yeah.
So I don't think the idea hasn't changed too much since
I think we've just explored
the beginning, right? We've just kind of expanded on it. But does anyone feel comfortable to give like a quick rundown of what the game currently is?
Sure. I mean, you just said it hasn't changed, but sure. Dude,
I think there's a bit more to it now, though, right? There's a couple more bits and bobs.
Dude Sim Alaska, you are a guy who's given up on life where his wife has left him and has just said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to live in the wilderness. Or husband.
Be anyone, Tom. Stop.
Or anyone.
Dude is gender neutral.
You're a dude.
It's a way of life.
You're a dude, and your life partner has left you.
Yeah.
You have to keep it. You have to keep it open.
Okay, you're a person.
Yeah.
Who has given up on life, and your partner has left you.
Yeah.
Taken the kids.
Yeah.
And you've decided to just live in Alaska, near or not near any towns, if you choose. You don't have to live near the towns. I guess you could live far away.
Yeah.
And all you have is a trusty little hand axe that I guess never break. I don't know, to build whatever you want, a log cabin wherever you want, using a prefab like frame, but then you add all the details manually, like all the logs here and all the floors here and whatever else.
Yeah.
And as you go, the more you explore, the more you like carve out the land to make the paths to get to these places easier, which is a really cool mechanic. You can go to town, do odd jobs, sell some of the resources you've crafted or have harvested to make money. You use the money to potentially buy like more furniture for your house, or maybe you just don't buy anything at all. Like the money is such a minor element. I feel.
Yeah. It'd be more to buy more tools and stuff, right? Like
and you use and then you can get like a plane. You have to make a clearing for a helicopter to land to make the travel quicker. It's basically like
I love that bit.
I'm imagining Viscera cleanup detail in the play where it's kind of like, why am I playing this? Why am I doing this?
But then you get to the end satisfying at the same time.
You get to the end of it and you're like, oh fuck, I know why I'm playing this now.
Yeah.
Like
it's like the bits that you do in Red Dead Redemption between story, right? Like a lot of that when you're wandering around doing the hunting and doing, but like way more expanded.
Yeah. And it's just having the options to do those things just when you want to do them. You might be like one day you just might be like, fuck, I'm just doing this today because this is what I want to do. And then the next day you just might be like, yeah, I don't want to do that now. I'm just going to go do something else or whatever. But there's always enough for you to go do.
The most important thing I think is finding these long-term projects to do.
Yeah.
Like clearing out the land for the helipad, it's going to take a long time. But when you do it, it's like a hell of a reward.
Yeah.
Or finding a old car that is totally trashed and repairing it is a huge reward. Massive long-term projects. You can just ignore it if you don't want to. But doing it bit by bit, like, I've finally recovered, I don't know, the steering wheel. I can put that in. That's awesome. I've got a steering wheel now. And it's just one tiny part of this massive project. Like, getting that one thing means nothing, but getting 20 of these one things gives you a car. And it's just makes the game so much easier and so much better.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I like having the option too. Like you've completed the car, but maybe you don't want to paint it. Maybe you just want to drive around some rusty piece of shit.
So
that fits with your character.
Yeah.
Because it's like a role play game, really, isn't it? So like again, you know, like your facial hair, if you can grow it, will grow. Your actual hair will grow longer if you're not bald. You know, and like and you have to like adapt with these things, or you can just go to town and get it cut and changed or whatever. You know what I mean? But like your character will constantly be evolving as to what you're doing and how you're doing it, sort of thing, right? Like
I think also like some of these long-term projects, if there's a certain material you need and you can put, I don't know, 1 of 5 different things in there. Like maybe you need to repair the floor of the car and you can use loads of different materials to do it. Then whatever material you use changes the look of the car at the end. Or that'd be really something like that.
Got an old chopping board
of oak.
Exactly.
Just duct tape all over the place. Just buy like 20 rolls in town. Just like, I like that. It just, I think it's just being able to make something, and then just saying it's your own, you know, like it doesn't look like everybody else's because you've done it differently.
It should feel totally unique to someone else's play style.
It sounds like those key elements, like those big long-term projects, are the main thing. Like that's the most satisfying part of the game. That's kind of like having a bunch of those in, like the car and the helicopter and I guess the house overall, right? Or maybe you make another house after, I don't know. But like working towards those things, are a lot. Like if for people that want long-term goals, it's really satisfying.
But making not mandatory, it makes it a lot better. Like making it go, this is just how I want to play it. Like, I don't. Maybe you don't want to do the car. Maybe you want to settle near a river and use the rivers all summer and spring. But in the winter, it blocks off because they're frozen over. But you're like, it depends on how you want to play it, and it does. So maybe the car is a camper van, and you can use it as a mobile place to skip the night. So you drive away to the thing, and you've got
like a mobile shelter, which would be
or you can you can use the 4x4 because it's got better cargo capacity. So you can if you hunt a lot, you've got more room to bring back pelts and carcasses. So like it depends on how you want to play it. Which I really like, but also not giving them going, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have a time frame to do this. Take as long as you fucking want.
Some things will have to be on rails, but you want to sell the illusion that it's not, right? Like it's open enough for people to feel like
you want to push people towards it without forcing them to do it. But you want them to, like, it's kind of like Inception. You have to convince them to want to do something just subtly. Like you have to plant that seed in their head.
Oh man.
Okay, so
I'm too excited now.
Tom, how are you feeling about this?
I mean,
play? I feel like
it.
this is your kind of game, right?
Yeah, I'm into it. I play the shit out of it. I think an important thing is, again, I'm mentioning the forest, but anytime you place like the recipe for something on the floor, there's something on the side of the screen that has all the resources you need. So when you put the log cabin design in the game or in where you want to put it, like it then has, you need 50 logs, you need 40 sticks, you need 100 planks of wood or whatever else. I think you're able to, in this game, you should be able to create like a list of all these things. So when you go out on a massive foraging mission, like seeing those things just tick up over time, and you've got 1 log, 2 logs, 3 logs, 4 planks, all these things ticking up, eventually completing that list just adds to the satisfaction of it. I think for me, I think the one problem I have is the renting a land and owing a town tax and things like that doesn't feel too dude lifestyle to me.
I mean, like, I think even though it's not realistic, I think we'll just say
you just get given.
You just go out and build a house. It's not possible in real life, but in this game it is, and you just do it.
It's living the desire of just going out somewhere in some wilderness and just living off the land and building whatever you want.
Creating your own kingdom.
Your own kingdom. Hiring serfs and peasants.
God, that'd be great. Imagine you can
and then going to war with other players.
Like laboring and stuff. Holy shit.
James, what are your thoughts? Play, make?
Would play, probably could not make, almost certainly could not make. But let's say that I could. Yeah, I can see real promise in the game. This isn't the sort of game that I would normally choose to play myself, but it's just an experience thing. I mean, I could imagine playing the shit out of this game because I like the idea that you could choose to be completely isolated from the town, or you can go and choose to build those relationships. And the relationships things like, you play Stardew Valley, and that, I know those relationships are quite important, but it was always the least interesting thing for me in that game. Like I know a lot of people get a kick out of it, but I would sort of imagine myself setting up my shack really remotely. And like finding that perfect picturesque.
I'd go so
spot.
far.
It would be funny if the people in town reacted to you based on how well they know you, right? So like maybe you hadn't come back to town for years. And you've just got this hermit beard and like, this assortment of like weird rags that you've put together for your clothing and stuff. And people are like,
and that's when we introduce like the fear system.
He's just wearing duct tape now.
I would be
like
essentially Wolverine living in the remote parts of Alaska, come down and like, who the fuck is this guy? And just have the big coat as well. And just be like, give me 20 potatoes and I'll just
maybe you find like some newspapers and it's like Bigfoot sighted, and it's you.
It's just you.
It's you, yeah.
It's you the whole time.
Like imagine that if you didn't ever go straight to town, if you just never went there and just set up in the wilderness, and then you chose one night or one day randomly, I'll go into town, and there's all these posters of, have you seen him? Who is this person?
Who is this guy?
What is it?
That? Like I read an article about I think it was in like Washington or somewhere. A guy did that. I mean, he didn't like build anything, but he just one day he was like, fuck it, I'm out, and he left his family and went out to live in like I don't know, it's some kind of like, it's basically the picturesque like just forests in Washington somewhere, in Seattle somewhere. And for 15 years, like there was these rumors of like, oh, we've been spotting a figure in the woods, and then like people's like they were like the Cub Scouts cabins that had been broken into, and some like rations had been taken.
Oh, what the fuck!
And then some of like the kids had seen someone in the night just like running around in the woods, like figure. And for 15 years he survived like that until he got caught and arrested because of like stealing stuff. And breaking into property, but he had just lived there for 15 years.
I mean,
crazy.
That would be nuts, eh? Living like that and then getting arrested and having to live in jail would be so jarring.
The exact opposite location. Maybe that's a thing, though. Maybe as you explore this game, you find campfires, because like you were saying, there's not a big conspiracy, but the longer you stay out isolated, the more stuff you're like.
Yeah, the town.
When you find
the town evolves around you, or whatever, like.
Yeah, but when you find
they don't know who you are, so
they're
unsure of you and stuff. That sounds hilarious.
Maybe you can go in as like a rabid guy and you're like stealing their supplies, and like creeping around.
Imagine that.
And you just see someone rounds a corner and you've got an option to just scream and froth from the mouth before fleeing into the woods.
Just like add like mini hitman into the game. You can like strangle people and steal their clothes, put them in dumpsters.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Chris, what do you think?
If I was head of Rockstar and we had a non-GTA violent division, I would pump money into it.
Yeah,
I'd play the shit out of it. I really like the idea of. I think the task list thing that Tom was saying was good. I do think it needs to be not. I prefer it to be really diegetic, as in like so. Diegetic and non-diegetic UI is so in Fallout. The UI is diegetic because it's part of the world. It's part of your character. It's the pip.
Right. Yeah.
A non-diegetic UI would just have a like text on screen, and it'd be like, do this. I think maybe having like a task list journal. Kind of like
like a little book.
It updates. It updates over time. You can just be like, okay, this is my current task, and it just says you've got this, you've got this. I think making that improves the immersion tenfold rather than having it on the screen. Same with like if you could choose to do it you could navigate by a compass, a map, or have a marker on the screen. Maybe you can choose how in depth you want these systems to go.
Well,
so I think
something that could be kind of cool as well is, again, because you're progressing all the time, later on you could get like some sort of GPS thing, where
I think when you start, all you've got is like a compass. Right?
When you start, it's really like you don't have anything, but later on in the game you can get a device which lets you plot waypoints or whatever that you can then,
if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to. You never have to,
Yeah.
but if it's there if you want it, sort of thing. I think that's kind of like the whole premise of the game. Is like, play it if you want
Start
to.
with absolutely nothing. Yeah.
Do what you like.
There's
how you
stuff
want-
to do
do
if
this
you
if you
want
want.
to. It's up to you.
Yeah, everything you're doing is just making the game easier so you can play it quicker. That's all you're
Yeah,
doing.
well, which is fine, right?
Okay.
This is great. Yeah.
I mean, Dude Sim Alaska, that sounds like a pretty successful game from what we've talked
thank
about.
God.
I feel like we could
I've been selling this
I
game
feel
for
like
years.
honestly, I think the most important thing about it is, there's a lot there, other than maybe the Red Dead 2 stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like looking like Red Dead 2. But I think you've actually put some thought into it and made it potential, right? Like it's possible to build this. Because when you said construction, you build nail by nail, log by log, and you're building a house like completely custom. That's where I was like, that doesn't feel possible,
No,
you know?
yeah.
Like within a game. But if you have it on a blueprint thing to begin with
blueprint
and then
framework,
customizing stuff
yeah.
as you go, that feels realistic. Like it feels like a game that could feasibly exist.
Yeah.
It's just
it's all elements of other
combining-
games that have existed, right, or do exist, and kind of combined and tweaked a little bit.
It is a little bit every survival game, but I mean they exist. How hard can it be to just throw them together?
Well, that's it. I mean, you're just
That's it. That's
you're
definitely
taking like elements of other games that exist, and like Alex said, tweaking them slightly, and then just cobbling them together into this setting.
The ultimate.
Which I've never played a game with that kind of. Well, I suppose I have. Stardew Valley's similar, isn't it? Like you're sort of got a
leave
town
life
that you can
to-
rely on or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just seems like again, the town is there for you to use if you want to. But
You don't have to do anything.
So like the setting is whatever you make it, I guess.
You don't even have to play it. Just if you don't want to.
Just buy it and never install it. You can do that too.
That's 90%
As long as you buy
That's
it.
the tagline,
Yeah.
right? Play it
Until this
how
game
you
comes
want.
out,
Yeah.
I am going to be just like, I think every day now until the game was released, I'm just going to be imagining that the moment that I can see my first plane arrive.
Yeah.
Like that image to me is so
satisfying,
exciting.
I mean,
But-
for me, it's the having a path and then coming back 2 weeks later after not using it, and it's like slightly overgrown, so you have to cut it all down again,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
constantly having to do that
Mow it.
feels oh man. But when you get it all working, when you get everything there, and you can finally look back on it all, and
Absolutely.
say, you know what,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was
I
me.
did that.
That's why you also need a good photo mode.
Yes.
Like Ghost
Right.
of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima's photo mode is fantastic. Like, you
Yeah.
can
Red
change
Dead had a good
everything.
one too.
It's great. Yeah, but like that, just being able to take pictures of like maybe it's just an in-game camera again with the diegetic nature of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
and it's just like and then you could print them out and put them on your wall.
Maybe you could
can buy
take
one
really
from
nice
town. That's what you
pictures
can sell
and sell them. And become a photographer.
Sell them.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
To the
Paint-
bar
You
in
get some
town.
really like nice snaps of bears about to eat you and birds shitting and stuff like that, and you
could
can sell them in
some,
town.
there's like a museum in town, so you can donate stuff to.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, I like
For
that.
me,
I like
the
that.
most
Fishing
exciting thing for me is that you rip your jacket, right? You've got to repair it, and you've maybe found a rain jacket or some like crazy polka dot pattern thing,
Yeah.
and you can just you have this mad
Yeah.
patchwork coat by the
Bits
end of
of
the
fabric,
game,
yeah.
where
Well,
it's mostly just bits of other.
There's going to be
coats.
lots of skills that like in the game. There has to be, right? Like so you'll have to be
Yeah,
able to
very
do
RPG.
sewing for repairs. Taxidermy
Yeah.
is another one we talked about that eventually you'll just get good at. Obviously, crafting furniture making, because you should be able to just
Yeah.
make your own furniture rather than buying
Oh,
it.
so like the
Upholstering,
Mastercraft furniture
which
lasts
will
longer.
have like elements of sewing and whatever, you know what I mean, and same like your mechanic skill. If you decide to do the car stuff or the bike or whatever, like you're gonna need to have skill up in these things. Like it's not always gonna be like you find something and it you know immediately you know what to do with it and you make it perfectly. Like there'll have to be some element of like you screwing something up, you know, because you don't have the right skills or whatever.
Yeah.
There's no home delivery in Alaska from IKEA, so
No.
that's how
that's
you have to
perfect.
make
Okay,
it.
that's perfect. Good. Well, there you go. You can start your own IKEA.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I
man.
think Chris, we don't need a name. We don't need a name.
We don't need a name
week
this
for
week.
the
Dude,
first
Tim
time.
Alaska.
It's already
That's good,
got
yeah.
one.
Man, this is exactly the game I would see people playing, and I'd be like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to But then I see someone else playing it. I'm like, oh, dude, it looks so good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
And then eventually I buy it and I spend hundreds of hours.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear this.
They'll do it differently. They'll do it the way that you don't want to do it. You'll be like,
exactly.
why did you put the thing there? No, of course.
So
right,
this is like 4 guaranteed sales right off the bat. I mean, you got to start
straight
somewhere.
away.
That's good.
Yeah, bam.
That's good.
But man, we are
So if we all pre-order this game now, then
pre-order
maybe
Dukes
that's
in
enough
Alaska.
money to start it off.
Yeah.
Start a
So
Kickstarter.
do a Kickstarter, yeah.
Ask for pre-orders before we've even started development.
That's never gone
Maybe
wrong.
we can be bigger than
Please,
Star
I'll put it up
Citizen
now.
in what we
Chris.
promise and not deliver.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And we'll
Holy shit,
also
people can
we'll get Mark Hamill
buy-
and Mark Strong and get all those. Gary Oldman could be the
Oh,
mayor.
Yeah,
hell
Gary
yeah,
Oldman.
that'd be
Yeah.
Get the
Yeah.
same
No
cast.
problem.
We'll get the same
Back in.
cast.
We'll do a narrative. Yeah.
Man, we
Fantastic. All right.
are 2 for 2 on Triforce pitches, and they've both been amazing.
Yeah.
Lewis is where it will
One
go
left.
downhill.
Let's see how that one's going to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lewis.
But yeah, holy shit, Sips! Thank you so much for joining us. That was a
Thanks for
fantastic
having me, and thanks for
game
listening
that
to
we're
my
very much
crappy
looking
game
to-
idea for like an hour and a half.
I hope
great.
you have a more complete idea of what the game
Yeah,
is.
no, I've
Like
had
a
lots of new
stronger
ideas.
vision.
Every time I play a new game, I want to add parts of that game into this game. So the scope will never.
Oh, that's why you said Hitman, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe after we pitch this to Rockstar in about 10 years' time, we'll see it on the PS6
That would be
and
good.
play on a PC.
Yeah. Must
Again,
buy.
the game of 2035, Dudes in Alaska.
Hell yes.
Sips, thank you very much. Until next week, Tom, James, and Chris will all be back. And thanks for listening. We'll see you all next time.
All right,
See you next
thank you.
time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.